to speak in support of the Combatting Antisemitism, Hate and Extremism Criminal Migration Laws Bill 2026. These are modest changes in this bill, but they are necessary. But let us be completely honest, this bill, nor any of the actions of the Parliament to date, will eradicate anti-Semitism or will keep the Jewish community safe in the future. There is much, much more work that needs to be done. December 14 is one of the darkest days in modern Australian history, and it is a day that my community, Jewish, non-Jewish, will never, ever forget. 15 innocent people were violently murdered while celebrating their Jewish faith, customs and community. It was an attack on Jewish Australians, and it was an attack on all of us as a country and all of our Australian values. We know that violence does not start with weapons. It starts with words. It starts with hate. And in this bill, I acknowledge that there are some important steps to deal with the spread of hate which leads to the spread of violence. I support the bill. I support the aggravated offences, particularly for hate preachers. I support the strengthened measures in relation to hate symbols. I support the actions in relation to hate preachers, and I do support the opportunity for the Home Affairs Minister has now the framework to prescribe certain groups, which should include, in my mind, groups like the National Socialist Network, the neo-Nazi and Hitzut Tahrir, who spread and promote openly virulent anti-Semitism as well as vile hatred against other groups in our country. These groups do not merely offend. They normalise dehumanisation and incitement. Their rhetoric corrodes our social fabric and creates the condition in which violence becomes possible. But, Speaker, let's be honest, this bill does not get to the heart of what I believe we need to do as a country. There is extremism in Australia. There is Islamic extremism. There is neo-Nazi extremism. These ideologies are a direct threat to Jewish Australians, and they are a threat to all of us. But this is not only a question of their immediate security. It's also a profound challenge to our social cohesion. When Parliament fails to address the direct causes of extremism and hatred, entire communities end up carrying the blame for the actions of a violent extreme minority. This is what deeply concerns me about the current trajectory of our national conversations. Muslim and migrants are increasingly made to feel suspect by association. By failing to confront hateful individuals and ideologies directly, we drift towards a culture of guilt by association rather than accountability. We know that radicalisation thrives in environments where blameless people are persistently blamed, excluded or treated as inherently suspect. And this is the consequence of a parliament that has failed to legislate clear standards of behaviour, failed to draw strong lines between what is offending and what is disagreeing to what is directly promoting and inciting hatred in our country. Now, I talk to the Coalition here because the Coalition has rightly spoken up on anti-Semitism for the last 2 years very strongly, and I commend it for that. But when it comes to actions, it has not followed through, and the Coalition could have and should have supported laws against vilification that the Jewish community has called for before December 14 and has called for even more strongly now. Because we do need to protect the Jewish community. Because I have had people come up to me constantly say, how is it possible, Allegra, that somebody can call for the final solution to the Jews and this not be an offence in this country? How can people hatefully target the Jewish community in their words when we know that words lead to action and this not to be offence in our country? Now, we do have stronger laws, but it is a patchwork across our country, and this is the opportunity for the federal parliament to lead. But I do believe that the Coalition has really stepped back from what the Jewish community has deliberately asked you for in this case, and that is a terrible shame. And so when I hear the words, and I hear them constantly, and I think they are well meant, where you say there's no place for extremism, we need to stamp this out, my question is, what are the mechanisms you are saying that we can use now, because you have rejected something that the Jewish community has been calling for a long time, which I put forward in the previous parliament, which you also rejected then. The final thing I want to say is that we have a long road ahead of us. The security of the Jewish community is absolutely critical. The anti-Semitism envoys, packages and the actions taken there are absolutely critical. The Royal Commission is critical. But we also need to lead a better conversation in this country about how we disagree well, and I think that means drawing bright lines against hatred.